This
Yeah.
mic is all yours.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I like what you said, Dove and Myrna. I like that. Dove and Myrna. Sounds like a team.
Yeah. Actually, we are family. We are family.
Yeah, I know that song too. Yes.
Yeah.
All my brothers and
Yeah.
sisters.
Everybody here, Regis,
Right.
Vilma, and everybody who's
Mhm.
ever been in ACM Gather is family.
Family. Yes. Yes.
That that includes you, Jack Roddy. Today's his first day here at Gather in many years. He used to teach here and he wants to start teaching again.
Okay. That's
Jack
good.
Jack is in the room as Hip Hop Jack.
Yeah, teaching, that's good. Teaching and learning are the same. The Course in Miracles reveals that very clearly.
That's right.
As we teach, we learn, which is good.
That's right.
Yeah, we learn from each other. We pick things up. We, I think I've come a long way this past year that we've been, or two, I think, was it a year?
Yes, you have. You've come a long way, Myrna, for sure.
Yes, yes. And I've come a long way.
For those people who are my age, you remember the commercial for Virginia Slims. You've come a long way now that you've chosen Virginia Slims as your cigarette.
I think it's you've come a long way, baby. You left a word out. I think
Oh,
that's
you come a long, okay, you come a long way, baby.
it's pretty good. Yeah, we are dating ourselves, aren't we?
So today's lesson is lesson 318, which I put in the chat. And it
Okay.
says, in me, salvation's means and end are one. Wow. I mean, can you imagine that?
Yes. The means and ends are one. That means that there's no in between. I mean, it's all one. There's nothing
It's all the
separate.
same. Yeah. Whatever you want, that's what you start with, because wherever you start, you're going to wind up in the same place. So I want to start with being happy. Isn't that God's will for me is perfect happiness?
Yes.
And I was listening to Ken Wapnick today, and he says, happiness is not the ego's idea of happiness. Ego's idea is when you get what you want, you're happy. No, I am happy. Happy is. It's an isness. You share it, you give it, you extend it.
Yes. The reason that God gives us a plan for salvation is so that we can abandon the ego and remain where in a place that we're supposed to be happy. And as you said, and you can't be happy unless you feel love in your heart. And I've been coming to terms with that quite a bit lately. And when I'm feeling love in my heart, I now acknowledge it and thank God for that feeling of love. And it gives me the understanding in a way of how I'm loved. In other words, when I have that illuminated feeling, I feel God's love, and that's the way I'm supposed to love. And that's I think the whole plan for salvation, and that's what we're striving for. And when we've reached that end, it was the same as the beginning and the end. We've reached that point, and that's what we strive to do. We talk about the ego, and I heard Regis say that, I heard him use words like, I'm mad at you because I don't like the way you talk to me. Well, I was triggered the other day with my boyfriend. We were on the boat. He was on his boat, and I didn't like the way he talked to me because I was supposed to throw the line out onto the dock, and I didn't do my job fast enough. And so I walked off angry. And I talked to him because of the way he talked to me, but how foolish that is. We got back together and each one recognized this is stupid, forget it. But it's that moment of lashing out that we don't control ourselves. And we didn't need to go through the pain of that at all, neither of us. But I think that's how we learn. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our illusions. And it brings us to a better place. it made me see, why did I have to react that way when nothing should interfere with the wholeness of the person, the consciousness that I am. And there's so much written about that lately, about consciousness.
If I can jump in.
Yeah.
First, at the moment that he seemed to say something to you that you didn't like, at that moment, he wasn't liking himself. Something was going on with him, which is why the Reverend Terry Cole Whitaker, who was Marianne Williamson's mentor, teacher, she had a book, came out like 35 years ago, maybe more, I don't know, saying, what other people think of me is none of my business. So we think that they're talking to us. They're not really they're talking to themselves. Like Dove says, no matter what it is I say to another or what I think of another, I'm always speaking to myself about myself. There's only one self. So if he lashed out or whatever it is that he said that got you to react, he was upset with himself, but he took it out on you.
Yes, but I also took it out on him because I got upset. That's the whole thing too.
Well, wait, but you as an ego reacted. So the whole idea of if you react, the ego always speaks first. Ego always says, "Oh, that's what you think of me. Okay, I'll tell you how I think of you," and go,
Exactly.
"F you," So I mean, that's called a knee-jerk reaction. So I was with somebody the other day who wanted some counseling, and she said, well, how do I stop that? She's been doing the course for some, I don't know, 8-10 years, but she doesn't really do the lessons. She comes to Zoom classes and she listens to people and she, oh, that's so great, that's so good. But when I asked her about the lessons, she doesn't really do. It's in doing the lessons that you're training your mind to see that the things that you think mean something really are meaningless. They're meaningless. He tells you that in lesson number 1. Nothing I see here means anything. So what someone says to you, it doesn't mean anything truly, except the meaning that you give to it. That's lesson 1 and 2.
Right. But like you said, it's a knee-jerk reaction.
A knee-jerk reaction, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because that's what it is. And we do react. And that's something that if we don't control it, it's a matter of stepping back and looking at it and recognizing.
But that's why this course is called a mind training course.
Mm-hmm.
We're training our mind not to react, but to see things differently. Above all else, I'm determined to see things differently. So of course, the ego only sees that somebody did something to me. Poor me, I'm a victim here, and I'll screw them too. That's how the ego reacts to everything in this world. Sees me versus you, good versus bad, right versus wrong. And then Jesus has a one-liner who says, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You can't have both. I'm really into one-liners. I was on Sunday, I was a speaker at Speakeasy. That is actually, we all tune in from ACIM Gather to Speakeasy. That's Maureen Muldoon's 11:30 Sunday morning service. And I was speaking on the 12 core themes of A Course in Miracles. And I realized that half the 12 core themes are one-liners. One-liners like, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You can't have both. And even though I did my best to explain why the 12 core themes of A Course in Miracles, which I now call the 12 core themes of happiness, is an easier way than reading 1,250 pages, because he's really saying the same thing over and over again. But believe it or not, that afternoon, after the service was over, I'm listening to a thing from Ken Wapnick, and Ken Wapnick tells me exactly why the one-liners work. And a one-liner is like lesson one. Nothing I see here means anything. And Jesus says, I'll give you the whole course in these 3 lines. What's real can't be threatened. What's unreal doesn't exist. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, you might say, that's nice. But as Ken said, the course is a hologram. We're in a hologram. If you get one line in the hologram, you get the whole thing, but you have to be willing to allow that one line to penetrate and to permeate. So, for instance, I have Benny Silverman, which I just found on the way to our class. I just found it about 10, 15 minutes ago. I put it in the room. And Benny was one of the great teachers here at ACIM Gather. He passed away, about 4, 5, 6 years ago. He lived in Hawaii. And I put it on the chat. You can read it from the chat. And he says, unless you understand the illusion of sickness, you cannot be healed. And he finds that in the teacher's manual in section 5. He says, you have chosen death and dreams over life, which has no opposite, no value. This is also in the room. So if you're in the room, you can read along. I post in the room as well. It says, there's no value in blame. There's no value in shame. There's no value in guilt of anyone here. When I am always speaking about myself. I chose to dream the dream of death. I can choose life now and see that it's only that only the life is real, only life is truth. I have no need to deny this by continuing seeing the dream of sickness and sharing what is unreal. What is real cannot be threatened. Here we go. He's using Jesus' only 3 lines in the course. He says, I'll give you the whole course in 3 lines. What's real cannot be threatened. What's unreal doesn't exist. Herein lies the peace. That is the peace of God. You don't need to read 1,250 pages for the peace of God. You already have it. You never lost it. Over to you.
Yeah, that's great. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. I use that affirmation a lot. I mean, I've been using that affirmation since I first picked up the Course in Miracles in 1990, recognizing that what you're saying absolutely is something we have to adhere to, something we have to really dig into and become fully aware of the fact that that's really what all we need to do is just separate the illusion from the real. And if we can do that, which you said, the mind training program that the Course does relate to and gives us is the path that we need to take in order to reach that point. I just described the altercation I had with my boyfriend, and what I realized too is that the 2 days that we parted, I walked off in a huff and I wouldn't talk to him. But realizing, I was in pain those 2 days because I was seething and I was angry, and that maybe was something that I needed to live through in order to see that. Why would I want to give myself 1 minute of pain when it really wasn't necessary? And I put him through the same thing. So, everything are things God would have me learn, everything. And that is something that I did learn from, that I don't feeling pain, even for a minute. Why would I put myself through a couple of days of that? So it was the truth of the awareness of who I am that came to light. And that was very telling for me. I'm sinless. And salvation's purpose for me is to find that sinlessness inside of me. And when we attack, we are not recognizing our sinlessness. We're only seeing sin. And there is no sin. And the Course reveals that to us in all its lessons practically, makes us see that in its gentle teaching that you are not sinless, that you are a creature of habit, really. We're really like robots when we live within the ego's dictates and we succumb to that. And in order to separate that, it's like separating good and evil, right? I mean, good and evil.
Yeah. Well, the ego uses sin a little differently than the Course uses sin. Sin, the only way the Course uses sin is the belief in separation, that I'm over here and you're over there. The ego uses it like you violated the 10 Commandments, or, if you're in another religion or whatever, you somehow violated, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt tell the truth, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not be jealous, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not. So those are the ego sins. And like Jesus said when they were going to stone the woman for cheating or whatever, he said, wait, let him who has not sinned cast the first stone. And everyone put their stones down because everybody sins all the time. Everyone's telling lies and, not telling the truth, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not what the Course is using for the word sin. In fact, I'm looking at lesson 318, today's lesson. I'm looking at the italics, which is the prayer. I want to go over it. Lesson 318 says, in me, salvation's means and end are one. I took a look at the regular print and it's nice, but I'm going to go straight to the italics, which is the prayer. Let me today, my Father, take the role that you offer me in your request that I accept atonement for myself. For thus does what is thereby reconciled to me become as surely reconciled in you. So what I'm doing is I am reconciling myself with my Creator by recognizing that by accepting the atonement, the separation never happened, which means there is no sin, which means I'm the innocent, holy Son of God. And I think it was we were listening to the audio video today from Mexico. Maybe Lynn can help me with. It was really about that who you are is awareness. Awareness is who you are. And awareness is an awareness of oneness. And that's what heaven is. But if you get into two-ness, you think that you have your story and someone else has their story, and maybe the stories don't go together, and you see that your story is good and their story is not good. That's the story of this world. The whole world's story is about there is an Israel, there's a Hamas, there's a Palestine, there's a this, there's a that. Everyone has their own story. That's why there's never any peace in this world. And as Ken Webber said, there's never any love in this world. You're not going to find peace and love in a world that was made to be a world of conflict and looking at opposites. So in heaven, there are no opposites. There are no differences. There is only oneness, awareness, sameness, and my favorite word, equality. Equality is the same thing as being reconciled. Over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, there's no denying that. You talked about Hamas and what's going on in the Middle East. I just have to tell you this and show you this. I was with my stepson-in-law, my husband's son-in-law. Okay, my husband passed away. But anyway, he actually is Israeli, and he was in the military, in fact, when he lived in Israel. And I went and I go to see him. I look in on him because he has Parkinson's now. He's in his 60s and he has trouble really getting around. And I try to kind of just stay with him. Anyway, he watches Israeli television. And I have to just show you, so this illuminated me. Look at this. These are the Israeli soldiers look at them. This doesn't, you won't see this on mainstream TV, but these are the guys that have so much morale. Look at their faces. You know what I'm saying? They are fighting their cause. They're fighting for love. And I just loved it. Here's another one. It's just beautiful, talking and talking. And they weren't talking about hatred. They were talking about love. They were talking about peace. They were talking, and and if anything illuminated me, it was that, because they didn't, attack in their words. Love. We want peace. That's what we want. That's what we all want. And that's what I was hearing. And so I thought that was just beautiful. So I just, I had to kind of just shoot a little footage of that, because it really warmed my heart.
Right.
And so I just wanted to share that. Yes. Go ahead.
I happen to agree with you. When you hear them talking and their smiles and all that, I do hear I do see the peace and the love that's really in their hearts and minds.
Right.
I don't see that in Netanyahu, by the way. I don't see that in him, but I'm not going to go there. What came to me this morning, and I don't know why it came.
Netanyahu was a warrior. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have other thoughts about him, but of course those thoughts are my thoughts about me too. He's going to have his way no matter what. So that's Netanyahu in a nutshell. On the other hand, this morning, about an hour prior to our getting together here, I don't know from where this came from. I was thinking, I was born in 1940. And in 1941, the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor. And it's the same kind of thing as what Hamas did on October 7th. It was out of nowhere. They came and they killed and they tortured. I mean, they blew up a whole battleship. Hundreds of soldiers, sailors died. So, right, Franklin Roosevelt called it a day that'll go down in infamy, and we went into World War II, although the war was already started in Europe a couple of years earlier, but we try to stay neutral. But when they came to Hawaii, which wasn't a state at that time, it was a possession, it was a territory, and just slaughtered people, we thought that we had the right to enter into a war against the warlords of Japan, and that's what happened for the next 4 years. What came to me is on August 6th of 1945, in order to end the war so more people would not die, we dropped a thing called the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, and we killed 100,000 civilians. I don't know if that number is right, but say it's 100,000. It could be 150,000, it could be 70,000, 30,000. We dropped one bomb and killed 100,000 adults, children, infants, this, that, hospitals. They all went up in one blast, one mushroom of smoke. 100,000. And everybody cheered and cheered and cheered and cheered. And Times Square was full of soldiers kissing their girlfriends. Oh, the war is over. No. We then dropped another bomb on Nagasaki 3 days later and killed another 100,000. And nobody ever remembers that, by the way. But they do remember what the Hebrews, the Israelis, did to the Palestinians. You killed 10,000 people. How could you do that? So that's my sharing. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do, because what you're saying, I've often thought about too. Here we, drop bombs and the atomic bomb, and it's really the same thing too. Justifying did we really need to do this? Did we really need to take such brute force in order to conquer Japan and to win the war? We were winning the war anyway. So I've often thought about that. If you ever saw the movie Oppenheimer, it's interesting because when they invented the atom bomb, they had no idea how far the bomb was going to go until they tested it. They didn't know whether or not it would engulf the entire world, okay, or how far it would go until they, tested it. And that to me was just amazing. What can I say? There are wars. Hopefully, people say, well, there will always be wars. It'll always be, naming and killing and all that. I don't believe that. I think, what I think? I think we are living in a better wave of energy right now. When I say better, a higher wave of energy, because we're all connected to the love that exists as well, not just defeat and destruction, but we're all connected globally, really, to on a collective level to a lot of love, a lot of understanding that's all that's going to heal the world. And even though we could turn on the TV and, you see that it seems to be just the opposite, well, perhaps maybe this is good against evil. And maybe the good of, good, it's obvious that there are people in fighting in the war that are only full of hatred and destruction and only want to maim and kill, and that's all they know. And perhaps maybe this will be an opportunity to show the world what is happening. Look what you're doing. Look what's becoming a worldwide collision, so to speak. And we don't want to collide, do we? We want to remain, as the Course teaches us, we are creatures of all of us, have the ability to understand salvation's purpose, and that is to just be what we are, what we were created to be. And and this shows us too, look what the ego can do. You look at the destruction that's going on. This is all ego. And so now I think it's a matter of separating, love. Okay, this is love. This is truth. This is spirituality, and here on the other side is ego, hatred, maiming, killing, destruction. So I like being on the positive side of things. I really do. And I really believe that we're going to become what we set out to be, okay, what we are, what we were created to be. And I think that is truly showing itself very much as well. So I turn it back to you.
Yeah. So after I had my ego outburst, that's exactly what that was. The last thing I just shared with my ego outburst, saying, we forget very easy that we did the same thing. So, it's like two wrongs are going to make a right. No, two wrongs ain't going to make a right. That's the ego trying to be right. That's all it is. Ego is right, and those people are wrong. That's all that is. And as David Hawkins says, this world has been at war 97% of mankind's history. So and I like to tell the story. Oprah says, well, does that mean there's some hope for us in the other 3%? He said, oh no, we were either too poor from financial depression to go to war, or too sick from plagues like COVID, etc. So when we're sick and poor, we don't go to war. Anyway, this coming Saturday, I'm giving a talk in Bogota, Colombia, on Zoom, of course. And the name of the talk is, how do you find peace in this world of war? How do you find peace in this world of war? And certainly it's not by pointing, look at those people over there, look at what they did. That's, so as a student teacher of A Course in Miracles, I got to go back to those one-liners, like in my birthday lesson, lesson 132. There is no world. Now, if you're a student of the Course in Miracles, you shouldn't even be talking about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hamas, Israel. What are you talking about? There's nothing here. You're dreaming. Which part of us forgot that I'm the dreamer of the dream? I'm having a bad dream, but I want to blame somebody. That's exactly what's going on here. Now, if you're not doing the Course in Miracles, all right, you get on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, and you tell them your story. And as Byron Katie says, who would you be without your story, right? I would be peaceful without my story. Over to you, Myrna.
I like that. We all have stories. Yes, we all have stories, and we have to convince others that we're right and everybody else is wrong. It's a matter of, the ego loves agreement. Just tell me that I'm right and I'm happy. That's the ego. Yes. And and we talked about what's going on, in the Middle East. Well, what about the Ukraine and Russia? Same thing, and
Man has been at war.
Yeah.
Almost all of mankind's history. Period.
Right. So we have to give up the war, don't we? We have to give up that.
No. I don't think man will ever give up war. I really don't. Man, you have to train your mind to see things differently. It's the only way so that you don't come back here to learn more lessons. It's that simple. As long as you think that somebody is right, you have more to learn.
Yes. Well, that remains to be seen, right? You're right. I mean, if there's always going to be war, well, then that means the world hasn't learned anything. Hopefully, on a collective level, we see a change. I'm not changing the world. I'm changing my mind about the world, and maybe by sending it love, and maybe joining on a collective level with others who see peace and love, that it will stop. And that we won't see the wars. I mean, eventually, when salvation comes to fruition, there can't be any more wars. So at some point, it's got to stop, right? Doesn't it?
No, I didn't say that. You see, there is such a thing as the 100th monkey syndrome. Are you familiar with that story?
I don't think so.
The 100th monkey thing is that they found a couple of islands out in the Pacific where there was monkeys, and they went to one island and trained the monkeys to bring their potatoes that they were eating raw down to the seawater, to the ocean, to wash them in salt water to get the flavor of salty potatoes, which gives flavor to them. And when they trained them, they did it. But when they got to 100 monkeys, all of a sudden, monkeys on other islands that had nothing to do with this island, they were started bringing their potatoes down to the water. They had learned. Obviously, they weren't there to be taught, but it was in the mind of monkeys. You might say it was in the monkey world. So monkeys learn from other monkeys that they never even met on other islands. That's what they call the 100th monkey syndrome. So most people who do the Course in Miracles think that if we have more people who do the Course in Miracles, then one day, sooner or later, there's going to be peace. And I'm very clear, as Ken Wapnick says, no, that is not the truth. That is not the truth. We like to think that if more people knew what we knew, then everything would be okay. No, that's the ego. That's definitely the ego. If you knew what I knew, then you'd be happy too. No, it's our own willingness to just be happy no matter what's going on in the world, because there is no world, period. Over to you.
Well, it's how we see the world. If I see the world as peaceful, you know, if I change my mind about the world, as the Course is teaching me to do, to change my mind about the world and begin to see the world as a place of love, then perhaps I won't, you know, and I won't be judging what I'm seeing as war. And right now, what am I seeing? I just showed you a film of soldiers who were obviously feeling love, and that's what I was seeing, and that's what they were showing, and that's what I was getting off on. So that's, you know, and that was really all that I cared about. So yeah, you know, I can't control what goes on the news. You know, I can only control what goes on in my own heart and my own mind.
I would say that what you saw is the love in you. You actually looked at soldiers' faces, and something in you saw the love in them, but the love started with you. So what you give to yourself. You saw the love. You are the love. You see others now. I don't know. You know, you might have seen some pictures of some of the terrorists who killed people on the very first day, October 7th. Maybe you see love in their face. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I didn't get that far. Anyway, yeah, it's just the love of you know, that we have within us to feel. We do, and when we feel that love, you know, when I feel that illumination, and that's what I realize love is too. When I'm speaking to Jesus on a heart level, speaking to God, my body does feel illuminated. It really does. So now I decided to take that illumination and send it out. And that's the best I can do. And that's what I'm created to do. I realize that's my purpose. That's all I need to do. The Course tells us I need do nothing. All I need do is feel the love in my heart that I'm given to feel, and let it procreate and show the world, or send it out, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm 100% there. I mean, I was triggered, as I explained just before. There was a bit of an altercation with somebody that I love, and yet it happened, and that showed me something that I needed to see. And so we're continually learning, continually growing, continually recognizing what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, you know, if we stay within the egocentric part of us that insists that we're right and the other person is wrong, then we are judging. And judgment is not of God. God doesn't judge us, so why do we have to judge? Why should we judge? God that doesn't judge me. I mean, God's forgiven me. I was lost and now I'm found. And that shows me that God has never judged me, has only given me the love that I was created from, and recognizing what it is. And I'm going to just read a little bit from my book, okay? Private Lessons with Jesus from A Course in Miracles. And it's based on the lesson, today's lesson 318. In me, salvation's means and end are one. Because you are loved as God loves all creation, he has gifted you with a plan for salvation. To understand salvation is to withdraw yourself from the world of illusions, which is the undoing of fear. You forgot your real self and came to view your limited self as real. In reality, your true self is the one God created, and this you have never left. Salvation's means and end are one, for one does not stand apart from the other. With salvation comes freedom, yet only true freedom to be as he created you. Give yourself over to salvation, for your appointed path still awaits you. It sure does. That's why I had an altercation with my ego, right? To be as you were created is to overcome fear and to be with God, for God knows only love. Joyfully join with him and know that salvation ends the illusion that you could be anything other than that which he created. For what God did not, for what God did not create is not real and simply disappears. So if something is not real, and if it's not real, it's not lasting, it's going to disappear constantly. I mean, things change every single day, because what is not real is not part of who we are. And if it's not, as you said before, nothing real can be threatened, nothing real exists. Well, that shows us that the only the real is what we need to understand and relate to. And other than that, we need do nothing. We need not judge. We need not take action for anything. Just be. And that's the easiest thing to do, isn't it? Yet it seems to be the hardest thing to do. To do nothing is really the easiest thing, to just be as we were created. And yet we seem to have to look for more. And want more, and not be happy until we have more, or until we have our way. And so the will of God is to be happy, right?
Very good. Yeah, Myrna. So as you were speaking earlier, I was thinking that, you know, what happened with you and your friend when you reacted. Remember, he was also calling for love because he was going through some stuff himself. That's why he spoke in the tone that you said, wait a minute, where is the love, my beloved? And if you're going to speak to me like that, then I'll speak to you like this too. And
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, because I was married for 40 years, and I can tell you that Suzanne and I had many of those things. But she was also a Course in Miracles teacher. We had taught together for the first 10 years in New York City, from 1980 to about 1988. So about eight years. And so she was a teacher too. I put up in the chat, also put in the room, something I came across today from my 12 core themes of happiness. And this is what Jesus says. He doesn't talk in first person a lot, but this is one of the places. He says, I really need devoted teachers who share my aim of healing the mind. Now, you're not asked to heal others' mind. You're here to heal our own mind. That is. So what we learn is not to react. You're training your mind not to react. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to react. It means that you're going to catch yourself and say, you know, and you let it go. Letting it go is the fastest way of teaching yourself forgiveness, because no one is going to go right into total. I shouldn't say no one, but the average person has to train their mind to let it go by recognizing I'm doing this to myself. Why am I saying screw you? I'm really screwing myself. So, you know, as Brent Haskell's Yeshua says in Journey Beyond Words, that's the same voice that spoke to Helen. He said, do you know what the secret of salvation is? And Dove is saying, yeah, he's going to say the secret of salvation is I'm doing this to myself. No, he didn't say that. He said the secret of salvation is relax your mind, release your thoughts, and let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You're always letting it go. I mean, if you're holding on to something that happened a minute ago, you're the ego. Ego lives a minute ago, but it doesn't live now in the divine presence. You are with God. Your awareness is now aware of our oneness now. So you got to let it go. And the faster you let it go, the closer you get to now.
I see Zulma put something up. Is she there? Perhaps she would like to.
Zulma's right here in
yeah, let me hear from you, Zulma.
Oh,
I've been here the whole time.
Zulma put something in the room. You're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I put it right here in this chat. I just wrote "let it go."
Oh, let it go. Oh,
okay, what Doug just said. I mean, and that's really the truth. Because think about it. It's like watching a movie. Like watching a movie. You're sitting and you're watching a movie, and you get caught up in a particular scene of the movie. You miss the rest of the movie. I mean, and the movie continues. The movie doesn't stop because you decide to grab hold of a particular scene. And that's the way life is. Life doesn't stop because we grab hold of an area. We stop ourselves. That's kind of like that story in the Bible about the woman who became a pillar of salt. It doesn't say she died, but it says that she became a pillar of salt. She came to be a pillar of salt. That's the story. That's what the story's about. You know, it's written. It's written that Jesus said, you know, if you try to save your life, you lose it. You're holding on to what's not there, then you're not appreciating, enjoying what is there. The key is to recognize the moment and let it go with every breath. Let it go. If something does catch your attention, at least be aware that the rest of life is continuing and we don't have to stop ourselves. That's what the Course talks about depression. You know, this need not be. It needs not be because we actually stop ourselves, or we think we are. We're stopping ourselves, but we're not. Life continues. And it's up to us to keep on doing the same thing. Just let go, let go, let go, and recognize that life is, God is, truth is, love is. It always is. It's always an isness. It's always is. It's not a wasness. It's an isness. And the idea of trying to hold on to something is to think that what was can be now. And that's not so.
Thank you, Zoma. Okay. As you're saying that, I'm thinking that Suzanne, who's my wife, she chose the Beatles song "Let It Be" as her ringtone. So every time the phone rang, I would be hearing Mother Mary came to me whispering words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be. Now, of course, I'm a little off tune there, but on the other hand, that's a real story that actually happened between Paul and John. They had an altercation, and that was a song that was given to them to actually create a song, Let It Be, Let It Be. And that's the same as let it go, let it go. You know, instead of going on with the altercation, just let it be. And that is what being is. You know, he says in the Course in Miracles, he says, you don't have to do anything. You already are what you're looking for. You don't have to get what you're looking for from somebody else. Just be yourself, your natural self. That's Mother Mary came to me whispering words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be. Over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. And yeah, you know, because altercations are painful. So they created that song, you know, that they learned that, you know, they didn't want to suffer the difficulties of whatever it is, an altercation, which creates anger. They just wanted to let go and let it be. I like that. And there's so many songs that when I hear the words, I just stop and inhale the thought and the meaning. The words and the lyrics, the tune must have been created from experience, the person's experiences that they've had. And 10 years ago, 5 years ago, perhaps, I would have not let it go. I would not have let it be. This time I really did. I mean, I didn't suffer too much with it. I let it go after 2 days, but there would have been a time I would have carried it on until either I got an apology or until the person got down on their knees and whatever. We all come a distance through learning, through pain, because pain, I think, is probably the best teacher there is. You begin to see it and you want to move away from it. So the Course in Miracles is the best solution to letting go of pain. It teaches you how to do it. Of course, the ego is going to fight that because the ego doesn't want to give up. Pain is a good thing. I like pain. I mean, I really got my way with pain, but that's what happens when we insist that we're right. But when we realize what we're feeling and that it's not a good thing, even if you have a slight altercation with someone you don't know, something that happens in while you're driving in a parking lot, in a supermarket, that minute of that moment that you had a disagreement with somebody over something, it's painful. But unless you see it, unless you recognize that why even go there? Why ever be in that state? because you know, when you are, it just kind of pulls you back. It pulls you away from feeling illumination. I like to use that word now, illumination, because I've been feeling that. I've been feeling that, and equating that with love. I question, how do I know I'm feeling love? Now, at times when that love does engulf me, I recognize it and want to hold on to it and want to share it. So when I'm feeling that, now I'm learning to say, I send it out. I send it out to the world. That's a very powerful thing. There's more power in one person's love than another person's fear. And that is what it takes. It takes that understanding that the love really, when we're feeling love, God gives us the power now to exhibit it in more ways than one. And it takes practice. It takes, you know, maybe getting into the soup once in a while, recognizing, well, here I am again, and it's happening again. But now we see it. I see it. And I saw it in that particular situation that I had last week with my boyfriend. Anyway, I turn it back to you, Dov.
Okay, yeah. When you say get into the soup, it means that somehow all of a sudden the water got a little turbulent, and you seem to be in some kind of alphabet soup where nothing seems to make any sense. But we want to make sense out of it. We want to make sense out of nonsense. And notice that that's pretty much what the first 12 or 14 lessons are saying. You know, I'm never upset for the reason I think I'm upset, because I'm looking at nonsense. I'm listening to nonsense. You know, that's the only reason I'm upset. There's no reason to be upset. I mean, he's telling you that you're giving meaning to the meaningless. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. And I think it's lesson 12. He says, if you only knew what was underneath the meanings that you give to the meaningless, you would be indescribably happy. You'd be indescribably happy. I think that we're already indescribably happy, but we're covering it over with all of our defenses because we don't want people to take advantage of us, to make us wrong, you know, and I got to protect myself. So I just put on the chat, I also put it in the room. He tells you a sense of separation from God is the only, remember the key word here is only. It's the only lack you need to correct. Now, why is it that we don't have to correct it? Can you tell me?
Because we already know it. It's already there.
Well, actually, we're not separate from God. That's why you can be indescribably happy. We're indescribably happy because we're not separate from God. We never, the separation, that's what accepting the atonement is all about. Accepting the atonement is what I think happened never happened. But I made a big thing out of nothing. It's like the mouse that roared and wanted the whole world to listen to it. That's the ego.
Right.
Over to you.
Yeah, you said give meaning to the meaningless. It made me laugh. It made me think of an old I Love Lucy segment. You know, we are friends of the friendless, right? Be a friend of the friends. Remember that? I don't know if you. Yeah. I Love Lucy, but
Desi and Lucy were very smart. They made America laugh by giving meaning to the meaningless. Really.
Right, exactly. There you go. That's true. You know, you said you're going to doing a Zoom at Bogota. Tell me about that. That's interesting. How did that come about?
They asked me about once every couple of months, and it's translated for obviously for people in South America. And by the way, there's Spanish-speaking people are getting into the Course of Miracles at twice the rate as Americans or English speaking. And the reason for that is they were actually fleeing the church, who tells them that Jesus died for their sins, and they have to pay penance, etc., etc. And of course, the Course says, no, Jesus did not die for you are sinless, you're innocent. And Jesus did not come to be crucified. He came for the resurrection. He didn't come. So So the message in South America is so embraced. People, flock to it. So, but every couple of months they ask you to come, and you have to come up with a topic. And for me, the topic was very easy: how to find peace in a world of war. And the reason it was easy is last Saturday, I was invited to be part of a group. Keith Kavanaugh was one, Lisa Natoli, John Mundy, and only my rights, my
Miranda McPherson.
Miranda McPherson. Thank you so much. And that's the first time I ever heard Miranda. And if anyone, I sent all 5 of those talks, including Miranda, to Lynn. I never heard Miranda before. She's a lovely lady. She talks in such a low monotone. I was lucky to be able to even hear her, because my speakers aren't all that great. And the funny thing is, I made some improvements on my speakers, so now they're very loud. But the topic on Saturday was the exact same topic. So that made it easy for me to find a topic for next Saturday. The topic that all 5 speakers spoke on is, how do you find peace in your daily life? And that's the same thing as, how do you find peace in a world of war? So, you're only responsible for coming up with the topic, and then they have a translator, and you speak like 1 or 2 sentences, and the translator translates it into the Spanish. And it's on YouTube, so you can watch it live stream on YouTube. And I'll be more than glad to send you the thing. But I mean, it's the same thing as hearing me here without the Spanish.
Yeah, but it's nice that you're really going globally this way, and that I didn't know that Spanish-speaking countries in South America were now adhering to the Course in Miracles. So it shows you that the Course in Miracles is making an impact, because people want peace. Like you said, they're asking, how do we find peace in our daily life? You can find peace in your daily life, and the mind training opportunities that we have through people like you who are teaching and just impounding that over and over again, that there is no world, that we have to recognize that it's all within our own self. We are the ones that can feel it, by understanding the truth of that. And that's, all there is to it. It's truth. And it's when you learn the truth, when you hear it, you can't deny it. And people want to know the truth. They are, they're saying, well, I've had enough of this. I want to go the other way. Isn't that why we picked up the Course in Miracles, you and I? I wanted to go. I knew I was going the wrong direction, and I was only going further into the quagmire. And here I needed to say, okay, well, there's no other way out of this unless I reach my hand up and let God save me. And suddenly it was, yeah, you got it. That's it. There's no other way. And the Course in Miracles intrigued me, because I was reading something that was so, a teaching that was really right to the point, and yet it was done. The Course in Miracles is done in such a soft, gentle, loving way, and yet it kind of tells us in uncertain terms that we're not going to have what we're looking for, which is peace, unless we adhere to the truth, and it shows us the truth. And then when we read it, the truth, certain truths start to become recognized. This has got to be true. Yes, this makes sense. And that's a start. And we go from there. So anyway, I wish you lots of luck with that. I'd like to, what is it, Saturday?
Saturday at 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay.
And it goes about 90 minutes. I will have the recording, so I'll send it to you. Anyway, we're coming to the end of our time.
Yeah.
Tonight is Tuesday night. and it's find your own inner teacher. Starts at 7 o'clock on ACIM Gather Zoom. And I was going to ask Lynn, because I don't know who's on tonight, who's leading the 7 o'clock Zoom.
We are going to be talking about gratitude tonight, and talking about how do you experience gratitude and how do you express gratitude. So it's going to be just a group discussion about gratitude.
Right. There was a line in the course that says gratitude is the easiest way to find God, because you're actually being grateful, and in your gratitude, God is already here. Okay.
Please say amen.
All right. Thank you, Myrna.
Thank you.
Zoma. Thank you, Regis,
Thank
Lynn,
you, Zoma.
everybody who's in ACM Gather, and anyone listening on the radio. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dava, Myrna, Zoma, Regis.